My name is Kristin Williams. I am a volunteer and I work with Peace Corps.
Okay. And why have you been involved in this roundtable?
Well, it was my community project. As a volunteer, I have to do my primary job, which is teaching in a secondary school, and a community project.
Okay. What the aspects of this event you think are the most important?
Sometimes I think international organizations take a very theoretical approach to how to solve social issues. And at this roundtable, NGOs have an opportunity to speak with international organizations and talk about those social issues in a very concrete way, and to change the way these issues are talked about and put them in more concrete terms and find solutions that are more practical, as opposed to worrying about the kind of development theory or international approaches to, I don't know, education issues. This is an opportunity to talk about a school in Kazakhstan that is trying to get books or something more specific.
Okay, and you think this won't be theoretical, as you said?
Well, we have tried to give NGOs the opportunity to start the conversation. And in beginning the conversation, they can control the way it goes. So if NGOs choose to get theoretical, of course it will be. But they have the opportunity to speak in more concrete terms and talk about the very real issues they face.
Okay. And I would like to ask you about the information you have presented. Can you just briefly explain the issue of your presentation?
So my issue talks about a library project. It was a collaboration between a library and the English language teachers in my village, and the effort to try to get a grant. It was a small grant, maybe $5,000. And the problems we faced were so basic. They weren't theoretical. It was things like the phone ran out of credits while we were on hold with the organization, or traveling for 2 hours to try to get a good internet connection to get current information on the grant. Just finding out who is the person we have to speak to about the grant. Very simple questions were so difficult. And that, I think, is the primary issue of my presentation.
Okay, and what was maybe the purpose of presenting this issue here on the round table? Was it just to, as you said, to give the opportunity to other organizations to know about it, or maybe to find some partners to realize the project?
So a couple things. In answer to your latter questions about finding partners, yes. We had invited the Pushkin Library to come and speak at the conference, and they were not able to come. But they've done an amazing project in Uсть-Kamenogorsk where they took a government library and created a library association. For a lot of these international grants, you have to be an NGO to get the grants, and they created a library association to do that. It was very clever, and they've been working for 13 years now as a library association, and the things they have done are just amazing. So I had wanted to meet them and learn everything I could from them. So that was one group that I had hoped to sort of exchange ideas with. Another purpose of sort of presenting this project was, you might have spoken with some people from the UN. They have this new initiative, Communication for Development. And I think the spirit of the idea is correct. There is some very basic communication problems that just aren't working between international organizations and local people working on projects. I am critical, though, of the approach that the Communication for Development is taking, because it's very theoretical. It's very focused on mass media. It's very focused on journalism. And for, a project like mine, a group of English teachers in a library, the kind of communication problems they have nothing to do with mass media, have nothing to do with journalists. It's things like their cell phone and their access to internet. And those are definitely communication problems, but they aren't being talked about in that Communication for Development initiative. So in presenting this kind of story, I hope to gain the attention of some of these international organizations that they're thinking about this in too abstract terms, that it doesn't actually solve the problem.
Yes. Okay, I think we are done with the main questions and some additional questions about the maybe other projects. Can you briefly tell about some other projects?
In Peace Corps or the Insights into Development or Peace Corps? Okay. So there's so many to talk about. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the approach that Peace Corps takes to projects, and then maybe describe one or two, and it'll make sense